Hello there. We are back. I'm getting rid of the wheel just because it's causing some issues when I do try to record, but I'm still spinning the wheel. This time we got the rock, and we're going to take a look at it. So, the rock is a level 9 gargantuan animal. They are an iconic, massive creature. These legendary massive raptors, capable of carrying off elephants as prey, are typically about 30 feet long from beak to tail and have a wingspan of 80 feet or more. While their beaks are hooked to rip flesh from bone, their hunting strategy involves grabbing their prey in their powerful talons and then dropping them from great heights before feeding. This method creates a massive amount of carrion, which guaranteed rocks are followed by flocks of opportunistic scavengers, such as ravens and buzzards, who find it easy to steal bits from the larger birds' meals. Rocks, for the most part, don't mind these creatures, which sometimes get gobbled up along with the rest of the rock's food. Rocks usually nest among mountaintops and cliff tops, inaccessible to all but the bravest of terrestrial dwellers. They are long-range predators that hunt both land and sea in search for massive prey to sustain them and their young. Rocks are antisocial and are lone hunters who compete with each other in fierce aerial battles to protect territory. But about once a decade, a mating couple pairs up to raise their chicks. Once the chicks are old enough to hunt on their own, the parents separate once again and engage in lone hunting. Particularly skilled druids or rangers might capture or train a rock to serve as a flying mount or hunting companion, though examples of such an incredible feat of domestication are few and far between. The easiest way to rear a rock is to do so from the moment it hatches, since the chick imprints on the first creature it sees. Acquiring a rock egg is by no means an easy feat, though it is often a death sentence for the would-be egg snatcher. Alright, so they're a common creature, so they've got a standard DC for identification, uses nature for animals, or you can use more specific lures. Let's see here. They are level 9, so their perception is an 18, which is moderate, straight up moderate. They have low light vision like many other animals. They have an acrobatics of 15, which is pretty low actually. It's in the low range, but they don't really need much to function. Mostly just to maneuver, and they are extremely large, which, despite their power, makes them a bit clumsy. And they have an athletics of 21, which is high, or a little over high. It's as high would be 20 for level 9. They have a strength of 8, which is above extreme for their level. The extreme value for a level 9 creature is 7. And this is where we're getting that extra point of athletics as well. We have a dex of 2, con of 5, intelligence of -4, very standard for an animal, wisdom of 1, and 0 charisma. So despite being a flyer, they are big and bulky and strong and not so dexterous. They have an AC of 27, which is moderate, nothing fancy there. Their fortitude is 20, which is a little lower than high. Their reflex is 17, which is a little lower than moderate. And their will is 16, which is a little higher than low. So they've got a slightly stepped back defense spread, and I think that's because they get a lot of their defense purely from their aerial mobility and capabilities. They have 180 hit points, which lands them right between moderate and high, so they're a mid-high HP creature. They have the wing rebuff reaction, which the trigger is a creature moves from beyond the reach of the rock swing to within the reach of the rock swing, which is very important. Like wording on that trigger is moving around under their wings doesn't trigger this. Specifically entering their reach is what triggers it. And that's 1 square earlier than, say, attack of opportunity could hit. Because that is triggered off you leaving a square that is within reach. The effect, the rock makes a wing strike against the triggering creature. If the rock pushes the creature, it disrupts the triggering move action. So their wings have improved push, which means they get to use a free action to attempt to push them. And we will get back to that shortly. So they have a land speed of 20 feet, which is not very fast, but as many birds are not particularly quick on the ground, They have a fly speed of 60 feet, which for their level is relatively low. Dragons fly much quicker at this level, for example, usually around 90 feet. So, whereas a younger dragon might be faster than a roc is probably more directly powerful, and so they might fight if they come into contact with one another. They have a beak with plus 21 to hit and a reach of 15 feet, and this is just based off of them being huge. They actually mention up here that they have a wingspan of 30 feet and are about 30 feet long. So they're gargantuan, which is 20 feet across. And that means that they're having a 15-foot reach with their head means that they are lunging a bit, because otherwise they would have 10 feet of reach, most likely. So they are able to extend their neck out an extra 5 feet or so to extend their reach. Deals 2d8 plus 12 piercing. That is an average of 23 damage, which sets us just below high damage. Just 1 point below the standard high damage for their level. And it is a high attack bonus. Talon, which is agile, also has 15 feet of reach, so they're actually quite stretchy overall. Either that or their descriptions maybe a little underserving here in the 30 feet section. Their damage is 2d8 plus 12 there, which is going to be on average 2 lower. So that will be about 21, which is around a little over moderate. And they get improved grab, so they get to immediately try and grab you if they hit you with a talon, with no action cost. And then they have the wing, which has a reach of 30 feet. So wingspan of 80, they said, so 60 plus 20, that adds up. That measures right. For where they said a wingspan of 80 feet. So they did good there in the descriptions. I would say personally, I would probably either bump this to 35 or maybe say 40. Because I think the tail, especially, it's not a attack, but it would extend behind them, in my opinion. But they've got 2d6 plus 10 damage, so that's even lower. So we're looking at in between moderate and low damage there. And they get improved push 10 feet, so they get to just shove you 10 feet or 15 feet on a critical success. And again, if they hit you with wing rebuff, that disrupts your move action. So it's not just like, oh, I can keep running. You are going to stop there. So they have the carry ability. A roc can fly at half speed while it has a creature grabbed or restrained in either or both of its talons, carrying that creature along with it. I know that a lot of people complain about, like, this not just being a thing, but there are ways for you to potentially move creatures and stuff. You can reposition, you can shove, and there are ways for you to do that. And you can also ask your GM to adjudicate if you can drag something instead of shoving forward, that sort of thing. But generally, those are going to be specified actions that are going to be relatively slow, whereas carry here is automatically getting to fly at half speed with a grabbed creature. There's no check to sustain it or anything like that. So this is an improved ability over the normal methods you might have to do so. Flying strafe, 2 actions. The roc flies up to its speed and makes 2 talon strikes at any point during that movement. Each strike must target a different creature, and each attack takes the normal multiple attack penalty. And this is scary because of their improved grab, so they can pick up to 2 creatures, and they might lose a good chunk of their movement if they do pick somebody up. But if they're right next to each other when it does that, it can just use its third action to fly again. Snack. So a rock gains a +2 circumstance bonus to hit with its beak strike if the target is grabbed or restrained in its talon. So it's not only are you off guard, but it's also getting +2. So that's a net -4 to your AC against that attack, basically. Pretty rough. That places it above extreme effectively. Technically, its bonus is at extreme, but because you're guaranteed to be off guard at that point, it's higher. And so a rock's riches, while most treasures a rock may possess are incidental, its remains of prey haphazardly scattered around in or around its nest. Rock feathers, especially white or gold ones, are highly prized in certain markets. Even more valuable are rock eggs, especially to some giants who enjoy their unique flavor. Now, talking about the creature itself and its abilities, they mention picking things up and dropping them. It can deal a lot of guaranteed damage that way. Important things to remember about flight, though, are that moving upward as sharply as 45 degrees or even making a check to fly directly upward, which does require an acrobatics check to do, is difficult terrain. So it's got a fly speed of 60 feet. It's only going to move a maximum of 30 feet up per movement, but that's still 30 feet. And if it's got you grabbed, assuming it's not the round that, sorry, my cat walked across my keyboard and hid everything. There we go. So I'm sorry, that's gonna get left in. Presuming that it's not the round that it intends to drop you, in which case it could choose to use all 3 actions to fly. It's going to spend 1 action to maintain its grab on you, and it's going to fly upward 60 feet. That's 30 damage right there. No save. If you got catfall or something that reduces fall damage, great. But otherwise, no save. Just straight 30 damage for a round. And then if it says it wants to drop you the next round, it can make another 90-foot climb and deal 75 damage to you with no save. Or it can keep adding to that. In theory, if it can hold on to you for long enough, you're going to fall and you're going to take a lot of damage. And it's a double-edged sword to try and escape at that point, because if you escape, barring your GM being like, okay, no, you can hold on to it, you're just not grabbed anymore, which I find absolutely reasonable to do, you're going to fall, and you're going to take that damage regardless. It's just not when it decided to drop you, which could have been far worse, because it might be a round or 2 or 3 later, when it's guaranteeing your death, basically. So I would be very careful around these things. Have Earthbind on hand, have ways to knock them out of the air, get up there. Honestly, the best thing you can do is if your GM lets you hold on and you have Titan Fighter, or you can get, and like you can enlarge yourself and you have some way to trip it or knock it prone, that will make it fall. It's not going to take fall damage, most likely, because it'll use Arrest a Fall, unless it's already used Wing Rebuff. And then it will be able to reduce its fall damage to basically nothing with an almost guarantee on its acrobatics check. I believe its acrobatics is just low enough that if it rolls a 1, it will fail. But outside of that, it is going to succeed Arrest a Fall in normal conditions. Overall, I don't think the creature is particularly badly tuned. It has slightly lower defenses for what one might expect. It's very damaging, but it doesn't have any extreme damage options. Its main power does come from its sort of versatility with its attacks, able to grab as a free action, push as a free action, and ability to pick you up, carry you off. Oh, and actually, it's not as bad as I even just said, because whilst carrying you, it's moving at half speed, so it's only going to be able to go up 15 feet per action, so it'll take twice as long for it to get you somewhere super dangerous. So, keep that in mind. But beyond all that, it really wants to play a certain way, but it can be a straightforward fight. but I think it's really good for super open areas with maybe a little bit of space where you can maybe hide and avoid its talon attacks, or take cover from them to try and not get taken off, or to try and sort of force it to land to fight you. It is, of course, going to be significantly stronger in the air. Of course, it will also always be spending an action to fly or 2 actions to flying strafe to maintain action economy, which, as a little side note, that's often why you see flying creatures have an ability like this, where it's 2 actions, they fly, and they make 2 attacks, or do something else that would normally take 2 actions. And that is because they have to fly or they fall at the end of their turn. And it's an action economy thing that allows them to do something cool while not falling out of the air for it. But that's the Roc. I think they're fairly well balanced for their level. They do have an over extreme strength score, but that's relatively middling when all the other actual abilities and numbers are well within balance. So that is just there to represent 2 things, and that is its carry capacity, how much bulk it can carry, and a generalized inference of its strength, which is super extreme for its level. All that said, let me know what you think of the Roc. You can check this video out as soon as I'm done with it on the Patreon, and it's going to go up pretty immediately onto YouTube as well. But in the future, I ran a poll on Patreon. If I finish any videos early, I'm going to be posting them there first. Whether I make 1 or 30, they will go there first, and they will be released at a regular interval on YouTube. Anyway, thank you for listening. I have been an Eldritch Dream, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.